The following is a hockey podcast out of Vancouver and Surrey, British Columbia. It'll only consist of a lot of puck talk and even more BS, or in actual words, banter and satire. Enjoy, and as always, go Canucks go.
Hey, Trevor, be careful what you wish for, okay? Straight up. Be careful what you wish.
You're Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
A happy hump day, boing, and welcome to another episode of Locked On Canucks. My name is Trevor Beggs, co-host of Locked On Canucks and also a Canucks writer currently with a Daily Hive Vancouver. Before we dive into today's episode, we got to thank you. I'm talking to you for tuning into Locked On Canucks. You know why? Because it's your Canucks every damn day. We're part of that Locked On Podcast Network. They're doing the most for sports fans across the globe. And for our show, if you haven't done so already, make sure you go subscribe and like this video on YouTube. And on the podcast side, go follow us and leave a 5-star review. And we ain't here without you, but we ain't here without the sponsors. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Place your first $5 bet and you'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Just visit FanDuel.com to get started. The Canucks preseason got started last night. I was rock hard from the morning onwards. So excited that Canucks hockey is back. And you know who else is excited that Canucks hockey is back? Artur Shelovs, who I think reminded all of us why he can be the guy who could handle perhaps a bigger workload than we all maybe thought he could handle. Again, it's prime overreaction season, and it's going to be that way for the next couple of weeks. But Artur Shelovs, we'll dive into whether or not we're overreacting or not based on his performance in night one of the preseason. We'll also talk about a couple other strong performances, who stood out to us, maybe who didn't stand out to us, what's going on with JT Miller, and other news, notes, and touch on Wednesday's lineup as well. Lots to get into. But before we do that, let me introduce my co-host. He's rattled. He's feeling spicy. His name is Kyle Bhawan. What's going on, brother?
What's going on with JT Miller? I heard how Bruff talking about it briefly in the morning, but I was thinking that maybe Miller missed the game last night because it's a preseason game and maybe like one of his daughters has like a recital or something. You know what I'm saying? Like some family. You know what I'm saying? It's preseason. Who cares? Not that big of a deal. But you got some notes, like you got some intel, you got some sources. What are we doing here, man? What are we doing here talking about like? Go ahead first. Go ahead first before I just start rambling.
All right, we'll start with JT. So really the conversation is the Canucks social media team advertised that for last night's preseason game, Besser and Miller would play, and for tonight's preseason game in Abbotsford, that Hughes and Pettersson will play. And you look at the lineup for tonight in Abbotsford, and between the two games, basically all the Canucks stars will at least have played one preseason game, except for JT Miller. And so I don't know. There's no injury update or anything from the organization. Hopefully he's all right. You know, there could be something bothering him, but it could also just be this guy's a vet and he doesn't need to play in the preseason. But it's just interesting that he's the only star player that hasn't played in a preseason game, and he didn't play in the preseason game that he was advertised to play in. So I don't know, Kyle, does that worry you at all, or are you just thinking it's a non-story?
Not at all, man. I'm not going to assume the worst, okay? Trevor, JT Miller was once 31 and a half years old too, okay? You know what I'm saying? So you and I can kind of relate. For real. I'm pretty sure this guy lives like an hour away from the rink, like 40 minutes away from the rink too. You know what I'm saying? Some family time before it really gets going. And save that gas. And I'm not talking about the gas in your cars. Just save that gas for April, okay? You're gonna be looking at yourself and like, oh man, like it's gonna be like game 6 of round 2, and you're gonna JT Miller may be tired, and he'll be like, oh, I wish I didn't play that preseason game way back in September. I wish I just saved the gas. Like he was probably thinking that game 6 in Edmonton last year, and he made the smart move. Okay, let's not assume the worst.
I'm just saying, Tyler Myers played last night. 34-year-old Tyler Myers, and he was chucking the body around and causing chaos. So I'm just saying, it's a little weird that JT Miller is the only notable Canuck not to play in the first two preseason games. That's all I'm saying. And I'm just wondering what's going on with JT Miller. If there's an update, we got you covered here on Locked On Canucks. You know what else happens on Locked On Canucks? We pump up the Canucks that we believe in. And one guy we believe in is Artur Shelovs. And man, oh man, you're listening to the show right now that talked about Artur Shelovs potentially winning the Calder Trophy this season. And I know what a lot of you were thinking. What are these two bozos talking about? You got North Vancouver's Macklin Celebrini and Matvey Michkov coming from Russia. Archer Shilov doesn't stand a chance. Well, guess what? You know what? If Demko is out long term and Shilovs is the guy in net and he plays like he did last night, I'm telling you, this guy is getting some love for the Calder Trophy in 2024-25. And man, oh man, did he look like he was in mid-season form last night.
Oh, yeah, he did, man. He did. He made about 3 really good saves. He only faced 19 shots, but I'm talking like 3 side-to-side saves, similar to what he was doing in the Nashville series, similar to what he was doing in the Edmonton series. Calm, cool, collected. The goal that went in against them was, again, another cross-crease play. It felt like they were playing NHL 13 out there. That's preseason hockey. But Archer Shilovs is, as Rick Tocchet alluded to, somebody who just loves hockey. Somebody who's calm, cool, collected. Somebody who doesn't let anything get to him. And that's what you kind of need in your goaltender. And speaking of letting things get to you, bro, think about this guy signing a 2-year deal, right? Less than $1 million per, if my math is correct. Maybe my math is a little off there, but I feel like he's barely making money. I know that's going to offend some people, but there's some people out there talking about Shilovs being a good guy to offer an offer sheet to this offseason, okay? Like the Dylan Holloway, the Broberg thing. Like somebody could have spilled some money on Shilovs and made it hard for the Canucks to keep him. Yeah, he decides to stay in Vancouver for 2 years. Demko's hurt, and then the Vancouver Canucks get one of the best backups in the league to join their net mining arsenal. And for some young goaltenders, I touched on this like 5 or 6 days ago, that could be a little defeating. Maybe you would take your foot off the pedal just a bit, knowing that you're probably going down to Abbotsford, since you can go down to Abbotsford via no waivers at all, and the other guy can't, and Demko's injury prone. Like, you're just doing all this mental math in your head, and it's a weird scenario. But what does this guy do? He just plays hockey. He just loves playing goalie. You can tell. It's his favorite thing in the world. And look at this. We got Kristis Kasparvacic from Latvia saying hi from Latvia. Yo, Shilovs is the mayor of Latvia, the ruler of the whole country, and he's the ruler of this net in Vancouver. And I think for the meantime, and we don't know if this is going to be like 3 to 16 weeks. Like, what's this injury that Demko has? He's missing his plethora or something like that. It's one of those muscles behind the knee. And
Popliteus.
That's the injury.
Something like that.
That's certain. You know, who knows what's going to happen with Demko, and who knows how long he's going to take to come back. And Shilovs being excellent buys him more time to rest. And to be honest, this is a scary thing to say, and this is messed up because you got to be careful what you wish for. But bro, we got to have an honest conversation about this. When Demko comes back, considering that he's just suffered one of the injuries that nobody faces in the world of sport, it feels like no human being has had their plethora pythotheris removed. Okay, and this guy did. So there's a chance that Demko may not be the same. He may not be the same. And there's also a chance, and this sounds crazy, that Archer Shilovs is going to be a Vezina candidate pretty soon, because this guy's a pretty sick goaltender, bro. I'm not going to lie. You know who this guy reminds me of in net? And now I've seen this guy play like 10 games closely. Shesterkin. Is that how you say it? He's so agile. The way he moves, and he has a lot of room to grow. Still got to get better at a lot of things, but the way he covers the net and how calm and poised he is going side to side, this guy has elite ability within him. And man, oh man, the Canucks, I don't know how they did it, but we could be going from Vezina nominee to Vezina nominee, or Vezina nominee to Calder winner, because Shilovs is damn good.
Yeah, well, I think the answer to how they did it is 2 words: Ian Clark. Right? What does Ian Clark love more than anything? I know he's been the guy that's been on the ice of the goalies day to day, but he absolutely loves scouting and developing goalies. And Archer Shilovs, we learned at the time in the 2019 draft, was a guy that Ian Clark was banging the table to draft when they drafted him in the 6th round. Mm-hmm. Right? He saw the athleticism. He saw a lot of good in his game. And, Ian Clark and the staff don't always hit, right? Like, I think of Asku Koskin-Kuovo, Finnish goalie we selected in the 5th round. I believe it was after Shilovs, but he hasn't done much. So you don't always hit on these late round picks. And of course, that's going to be the case. But they absolutely hit a home run with Shilovs. And man, oh man, Kyle, you're throwing out the Vezina talk. Unbelievable, man.
Maybe not this year. When I'm talking about the Vezina, I'm like, can Shilovs become one of the best goalies in hockey? Dude, I think so.
The potential's there. And I know sometimes in Vancouver, I'm always cognizant about, not trying to look at it through a blue and green lens all the time, because there's other goalies in the NHL. And, coming to this season, I know Dustin Wolf's considered to be a potential Calder nominee. Yaroslav Askarov, I think he's hard pressed to be a Calder nominee behind a brutal San Jose Sharks team, but he's a rookie in the mix, right? But Artur Shilov's man, oh man, it's this guy playing in a great situation with Vancouver. I know the defense has some flaws still, but this is a good team under a good coaching staff. And again, Artur Shilov's, the numbers have been mediocre to average, but what we see in terms of a game-to-game basis is a guy that he always makes the big save. And, Kyle, you mentioned on a previous episode how, maybe sometimes he's just not in position. He has to make this miraculous saves. Last night, it was defenseman turning the puck over and him just making a 5-alarm save. Yeah. He was just unreal in a couple of those last night.
And those other things, I feel as if he has a lot of time ahead of him, considering the fact that he's so young. He, just signed a 2-year extension with the Canucks to kind of figure those things out, because there's no way he's going to be perfect right away, right? But the raw skills are there. And again, his ability to just stay calm and not let the moment be so big. And I know we're talking about a scrimmage performance and a preseason game performance being like these big moments in this young man's life, but it kind of feels like that. Like there's a lot riding on this guy. And what a roller coaster this guy's probably had over the last couple of months, all dating back all the way to April. And even if you kick it back a couple months prior, him kind of struggling in the AHL, but all in all, since that point, I feel as if he's been able to hit grand slams with anything that's in front of him. And that's hard to do, man. Playing goalie for the Vancouver Canucks is one of the toughest positions in sport. Just a lot of pressure. That being said, it's also becoming, the goalie hotbed, Luongo, Miller, even Eddie Lack was good for 6 months. And then the whole Markstrom, Demko, Shilov's damn, this place just, I forgot Corey Schneider, it's one of those places where, how the Green Bay Packers, they just develop great quarterbacks. Bro,
oh my God.
The Canucks, no, come on, man. Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, Jordan Love.
I know.
We could go from Luongo, Schneider, even if we skip Miller, which we shouldn't, Ryan Miller, because we didn't really develop him, but Luongo, Schneider, Markstrom, Demko, Shilov's, pretty crazy.
Pretty crazy indeed. And I think that's why, Shilov's, for both you and I, Kyle, his performance, his potential was the biggest takeaway from game 1 of the Canucks preseason. What else stood out to us? Let's get into it on the other side, including a couple of young guys who I think maybe against all odds have a chance of cracking this Canucks team. Let's talk about who we liked and didn't like. Rip through and talk about some of the lineup notes for Wednesday. And of course, let's try to get to some of your comments as well. All that and more coming up on Locked On Canucks after we shout out our friends over at FanDuel. All right, you know the deal, baby. FanDuel, they got your back. And if you're a fan of the NFL, you can start the season with a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. Kyle, let's look at some of the NFL lines for this week coming up, because I'm a degenerate. I love place a few buckaroonies on the NFL. Let me tell you some underdogs I'm liking for this week's action. Liking the Saints as underdogs against the Falcons. Call me crazy. I think Jacksonville might get their first win against Houston. That's my big bold bet. I'm liking the Colts as underdog against the Steelers. I'm liking the Rams as underdogs against the Bears. Kyle, of any of those, would you be hopping on the bandwagon or am I out to lunch?
Bro, I'm not watching any other football games other than the Green Bay Packers. I'm loyal, man. And I got, come on. You only have 24 hours in a day, Trevor. I'm not a degenerate like you, okay? I got a family.
You got a family? What? Yeah, unbelievable, man.
Family.
Hey, your Green Bay Packers are favored over the Minnesota Vikings, man. The Vikings disrespect. Unbelievable. Maybe I should pick the Vikings just to spite you. Whether you're betting to spite your friends or you're betting to make some money, make sure you go to FanDuel.com and make your bets right now.
Boom, boom. We back doing this, and that's talking about your Vancouver Canucks and Artur Shilovs and some more Artur Shilovs and some more Artur Shilovs. I know we're going to ramble out on about the Atu Ratus and the Lekaramakis or the Lekkermakis and, how DPD did and all this jazz and the Carlsons, blah, blah, blah. But come on. Can we spend a couple more minutes on Shilovs? Because I feel as if the improbability of this being the case, and that's Shilovs giving us Demko-like goaltending, to start off the season was, I wouldn't say frowned upon, but not even looked at because of how jarring the Demko news was. But I want to ask you this: like, how certain are you that Shelovs can do so? And B, does Shelov have to? Because again, the Canucks, you talk about the defense kind of being a little off. These are still the Vancouver Canucks. They've only been good for like 25 seconds. It's more than way important for this team to get some really good goaltending early on. Do you think Shelovs can do that? Because there's some argument that, oh, Shelovs only has to be good. And I'm kind of like, yo, I think Shelovs has to be kind of great.
Yeah, I would lean more to the fact that Shelovs has to be good. You look at the offense on this Canucks team, you look at the winger depth. Like, this is a team that should be, knock on wood, one of the best offenses in the NHL. So I don't think Shelovs has to be great. It doesn't have to be amazing. But if he's good or league average, this team is going to be in a good spot overall. And I think, again, with Kevin Lankinen behind him, the guy's proven to be a pretty solid backup through his NHL career, right? He got some big wins over big name teams last season when I looked through his log, including, the Vegas and Colorados and whatnot. So, he wasn't just getting all the plum matchups either. I think Kevin Lankinen had a win over the Oilers as well. So, again, I don't think Shelovs has to be amazing. I really don't. And I know we're kind of putting him up on a pedestal, and that pedestal is slowly ascending towards the sky the more we talk about him. But he really doesn't have to be fantastic, in my opinion. I mean, I think he has the potential to. I truly believe he has the potential to be in that Calder conversation, but I don't think he has to be, the savior of the Canucks or anything like that. Come on, man. This guy's I think he might be the youngest guy on the Canucks if I check the roster on opening night.
I don't know if he has to be the savior, but I do think he has to be like good to great. Because I'm just not convinced that the Canucks minus Ian Cole and Nikita Zadorov are going to be able to do the same things that they did early on last year defensively. That's just me. It's going to take some time. It's going to take some time for all those, like, how Tyler Myers took like literally 4 months to get his ish together, or 3 months to get his ish together. Like, it might take Forbert and Darnay that amount of time. And what was helping us, lock things in. Yeah, it was some capitalization off some rush chances, and like, our PDO was off the chart and we were winning games, but Demko was solid. Demko was really, really solid last year, especially early on. Anyways, let's talk about more players. Okay. More players. I also want to read a comment before the end of the show that was just, crucifying Trevor Beggs, man. I felt, dude, honestly, you gotta delete the internet. Okay. Delete the internet from your household so your children don't read the comments. Okay. Because this could be sad. Okay. We'll get to that at the end of the show. But, out of anyone that's played hockey for the Blue and Green over the last 4 weeks, 3 weeks since training camp started, since the Young Star started, I don't think there's anyone that's been as impressive. And this is saying a lot because Lekermak is kind of cool. But, man, Aatu Ratu is just feeling legit. And I feel as if there's going to be moments this year where he can replace Bluger and Suter if they get hurt, but it's a guarantee that, like, next year, Aatu Ratu is going to be on the team.
Yeah, I can certainly see it, right? Like, he does kind of seem NHL ready right now, and he looks like he's worked on the big knock, which is skating. He was good in faceoffs last year in Abbotsford, but my God, was he really good in the faceoff dot last night? Beating guys clean on his offside. That was really impressive stuff from Ratu. Really good bang pass to Höglander on the opening goal. And we had a turnover at one point in the night. Look, Lekermak and Ratu, I should say, for the most part, they were two of the best players in the Canucks last night, right? They did have mistakes, though. Like Lekermak, he turned the puck over. He made a bit of a pass on an odd man rush. I think Ratu turned the puck over on one of his first shifts of the game as well. So they weren't perfect, but again, these are two young players who are really standing out in a positive way right now for your Vancouver Canucks. And look, it's typical preseason hockey, right? Where the young guys are going to bring it because they're the guys pushing for jobs, but they got to continue bringing it here throughout camp and the preseason. And again, I don't think either of them played perfect games. I think the Canucks really actually tried too hard to get Lekermak a goal on the power play. So that's why the second unit looked better. But overall, I think it was a really good start of the preseason for both those guys who, surprise, are going to be playing on the second night of back-to-backs tonight in Abbotsford as well.
Yeah, and Ratu, to me, he, not to bring up his name again, but he kind of just like looked like he was as good as Pius Suter, or could be like a similar type of player mold right now. Again, preseason game, you're facing half an NHL roster. It's not saying much, but it's awesome to see that he's taken a stride, and I wouldn't even just say he's raised the floor of this prospect pool. I feel as if based on his pedigree in the past, based on him having fun with the game again, he's talked to Ian McIntyre about that. Go read that article. It's really enlightening. Based on the fact that he took getting faster seriously, and now based on the tutelage that I think is going to be given even more so by Manny Malhotra, but also like Rick Tocchet and Patrick Allvin and Jim Rutherford, like there's a chance here for the ceiling of this prospect pool to get higher if Ratu can live up to what he was supposed to be 4 years ago, 5 years ago, when he was entering his draft eligible year. Like this guy was supposed to be a top 5 pick, the number 1 pick, the number 2 pick. This was the guy. And I wonder within a good organization, a strong organization with maturity and calmness and poiseness and tutelage and pedigree, that this could happen where you take a prospect who's kind of fallen off the radar and bring him back to not only just relevancy, but importance. And that just goes to show you how much things are different in Vancouver. Like when players in the AHL are getting that much better, you know what I'm saying? Like it's a beautiful thing. And even the whole Lecker Mackey thing, I know he wasn't with the Canucks at the beginning of last year outside of like the whole prospect stuff, but I feel as if they were always in his ear. And after struggling, after getting drafted by the Canucks, I guarantee they were a big part in him finding his game back. Dude, the Canucks, we're a respectable organization again, man. I love it, man. This is what happens after you win one preseason game. I love it.
This is what happens when you have two guys like Beggsy and Bhawan take over Locked On Canucks. I mean, when did the Canucks start to get better? As soon as we took over Locked On Canucks, baby. Let's go.
Okay.
Unbelievable stuff. Okay, a couple more players quick. So we talked about Ratty and Lecker Mackey. Vilmer Ulrichsen, I think, stood out with the scrap, the physicality. I don't think he was one of the best players in the ice by any means, but considering, he was like a half point a game player in the OHL last season, the strides that he's made, the hype and the praise he's getting from the coaching staff, I thought he was really strong last night. I thought his line mates, Hassan and Blais, were kind of quiet. I thought Lannon, who I've been kind of hyping up here as maybe a dark horse to make this team, I thought he was pretty bad last night for the most part. He looked good on the power play, but a couple really glaring turnovers. DPD as well had some moments of good puck poise, good skating, even some offensive pop in terms of shooting and trying to do a tip pass from Hronek, but some bad defensive gaffes as well. So those are the kind of the guys that stood out to me for good or bad reasons last night. And of course, Nils Höglander, who we hyped the hell out of yesterday. Go check out that episode. He looks like he's ready to blow the NHL's doors off this season.
Yeah, one left the Höglander doing his thing against half an NHL roster. I'm not surprised. Again, no, I'm not trying to take a shot at him. I'm just saying I know Nils Höglander is a good player. Okay, and he's coming into the season and needs a new contract at the end of it. This guy's coming out guns blazing. Okay, there's one shift that I noticed from DPD. Okay, in the third period. Okay, this is when I was really paying attention to this preseason game, and this shift had no importance. Okay, straight up, but he was behind his own net without the puck, and he was smacking his stick on the ice, demanding the puck. That little detail showed me that this guy's a man. Okay, he wants it. He wants it. And bro, you talk about his roller coaster of a game yesterday, right? I would say there's more steadiness than a bit of chaos, for real. I know people are looking at some of the glaring mistakes and just his timing being off, and like it just seems as if the speed, even against a half NHL team, is just it's different for him. He needs some time. But I can't help but think Nikita Zadorov when I watch this guy play and his stature on the ice. And again, even behind the net, how he just like asking for the puck and he wasn't gonna get it, but he was asking for it, like got some of that swagger in him. Bro, DPD's gonna be he's gonna be a favorite for this franchise. If not this year, next year I could see something happening with him.
Yeah, 100%. And no need to rush DP to the NHL as much as we've been hyping him up.
Hey,
he deserves the hype, but I think a little age.
Can I talk about one more thing? Sorry to cut you off there.
Yeah.
Before we get to break, sorry. Because Kurt Richardson said this, okay? Philip Hronek looked great. Okay? Scored on the power play. You can't really use how he scored that goal and then, bring it into a conversation about the topic we talked about yesterday, right? Like, should him and Quinn Hughes be split up? It's on the power play, blah, blah, blah. But this year, I wonder if part of the strategy in scoring more goals is utilizing a slap shot. Now, I know it was a bit of a wild case last year. I think when he scored after that game against the Islanders at Rogers Arena, they always tried looking for that one-timer, and it just wasn't really working. But I wonder if this is the year where we do see some sort of like a Sammy Sallow, like what's the word I'm looking for? Like game plan around getting Hronek more one-timers.
Yeah, and I think it could tie into another idea that we've talked about too, which is rejigging the Canucks power play and some bold ideas there. Because I think you might be onto something, buddy. But for that to happen, we got to see Hronek actually get some legit power play time for the most part. Save that for another episode. On the other side, let's talk a bit about the lineup for tonight and some of the comments as well. I'm kind of curious to hear what Kyle's put up in terms of being roasted.
Bro,
We'll
I'm
see.
sorry I gotta bring it up. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's all right, man. It's all right. I got thick skin considering my small wiener. Coming back on the other side after we shout out our friends over at Indeed. All right, it's piss and rain out. So you got no excuse if you're unemployed, but to hit up Indeed and go find that job. And if you're an employer, you need Indeed because they are your matching and hiring platform with over 350 million global monthly visitors, according to Indeed data, and a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast. Ditch the busy work. Use Indeed for scheduling, screening, and messaging so you can connect with candidates faster. And Indeed doesn't help you hire faster. 93% of employers agree that Indeed delivers the highest quality matches compared to other job sites, according to a recent Indeed survey. One of the things I love about Indeed is that I have a job because of Indeed, baby. You know I found my day job because of Indeed. I feed my family because you listen to Locked On Canucks and because of Indeed. So thank you, Indeed. They leverage over 140 million qualifications and preferences daily, and their matching engine is constantly learning from your preferences. So the more you use Indeed, the better it gets. Listeners of the show, you'll get a $75 sponsored job credit. Wow. To get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/lockedon. Just go to Indeed.com/lockedon right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this very podcast. Indeed.com/lockedon. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed.
Welcome back to this episode of Locked On Canucks. My name is Kyle Bhawan. That right there is Trevor effing Beggs. One love to you and you watching this and listening to this wherever you are. If you're watching this live right now or on YouTube, hit that like button. It goes a long way, okay? Every like gets us closer to not only going to Cactus Club and taking our girls on double dates and paying for the bills, but I'm trying to get a hoverboard, man. I'm trying to get a hoverboard, like a real one, okay? Straight up. How else are you going to beat the robots? Those things are coming into existence, man. You know, we talked about flying cars. I read an article on the dark web. It's happening soon, bro. You better get your license upgraded, okay? You can already do it. Read the fine print. Speaking of reading the fine print, look at this comment, okay? Before we get to all the other comments, and again, one love to all of you guys. Just mustering up in the chat over there on the right side. Look at this one comment left on yesterday's episode, okay? Oh, dude, it's so blurry on here. Okay, give me 1 second. Give me 1 second, Trevor. I got it right here. Okay, look at this. This comes from Sounds for Soul 9,825. Okay, this is what he said. Okay, Trevor, don't cry. Okay, just be mad. Just man up here. Okay, I know it's 2024 and we're allowed to cry. Men are allowed to cry, but please don't do it here. Okay, because I'm gonna feel guilty. But I needed to read this to you. This guy said Bhawan needs to go solo. I'm sorry. I barely watch because Trevor's stupid vocal cadences. It's embarrassing and unprofessional. It would be great if I was 12 years old, but he needs to stop patronizing all of us and speaking to us as if we were kids. Okay? And you know what I have to say to this? Don't tell Trevor what to do. And I've said this time in and time out, okay? Trevor Beggs is the second best dad in the world. And one thing that I've noticed about Trevor Beggs over the last couple of years, okay? For whatever reason, he always gets into character, okay? He does. And then I realized after one time of listening to this guy talk to his kids on the phone while I was with him, is that, again, I'm right. He's the second best dad in the world. You're always playing this character. You're always trying to make your kids laugh. You're always doing your thing. You're always trying to make their day when you're on the other side of the world. And I think it's a beautiful thing that you practice that, you know, during your time here on Locked On Canucks, because time is money and you're keeping your skills sharp because you don't really care about us. You care about your kids and you're trying to, you know, be the best father for them. So Trevor Beggs, never change.
Love you, buddy. Appreciate that. And hey, he's not the first commenter that said it, but I'm not sure what to say, man. I am like a kid on the inside. I know I'm 31 and a half years old like you, Kyle, but I'm like a kid on the inside. So when I start the show, I'm like, Locked On Canucks, all right? I just can't help it, man. Okay, it's
Love
good.
it, man. It actually reminds when I read that comment, I was like, yo, that's I know this guy's being an asshole. Like, dude, DM Trevor on the side, okay? You don't have to leave relax, guys. But it actually reminded me of that one of those times where you're talking to your wife on the phone, and then I think your daughter was like in the background, and she took the phone, and then like you just totally changed into a new character, like just like that while you're in the room with me. And I was like, how did he do that? And I was like, damn, because again, he's the second best dad in the world.
It's called multiple personality disorder.
Oh, there you go. Speaking of speaking of the love and the children and the youth, man. Yo, happy birthday to Reggie, dude. It's his 10th birthday. And we're going to the Flames game tonight. Much love from Metrotown. Yo, happy birthday to Reggie, man. Every episode this week is dedicated to Reggie. And you know what? I'll say this, man. Reggie it's not a used enough name these days, okay?
Mm-hmm.
That's a nice name. Trevor, if you're ever gonna pop another one out, Reggie Beggs. Think about it.
I love it, man. I think most guys named Reggie turn into athletes. That's for sure. A very happy 10th birthday to Reggie, and I hope your favorite Canucks scores tonight. Hopefully, your favorite Canucks is JT Miller because he's not playing tonight. Let's go through the lineup very quickly for tonight. They did announce it on social media. Unless I'm missing something, I think there's an extra body in the fold on defense. But I basically put some lines together in terms of how it might lay out. It was an optional skate today, so we're not quite sure. So you got DeBrusk and Pettersson playing tonight. Daniel Sprong is playing tonight. So I think they might be on a line. Or Jonathan Lekkerimäki, not quite sure. Second line, I had Baines, Ratty, and Lekkerimäki, a line we saw throughout the Young Stars, a line that could be your top line in the AHL. You got PDG, Nate Smith, and Kiefer Sherwood. You also got Linus Karlsson, Max Hassan, and Sammy Blaze. So the only Canuck forwards who didn't participate in either tonight's game or last night's game are Chase Wooters, Tristan Nielsen, Ty Mueller, and JT Miller. Just saying.
Trevor,
a little weird that JT Miller didn't play.
I saw what your eyes did there.
Just saying.
Dude, please, man. Please. JT Miller, man. Please, brother. Dude, I'll give you a $200 gift card to Whole Foods. Just come back, bro. Come back. Look at Kurt Richardson, okay? Saying that he's looking forward to seeing Sherwood today. Bro, like, keep Sherwood. Who is this guy? Is like Pavel Bure, like making his debut for the Canucks, dude? Are you serious? Everyone is so happy to see Kiefer Sherwood play, dude. I'm surprised. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if Quinn Hughes decides not to play tonight, so he can watch the game from the stand, so that every time Kiefer Sherwood does something good, the camera can pan over to Quinn Hughes in the crowd, just so he could smile. You know what I'm saying? This is something else, man. The Kiefer Sherwood hype is, bro. Like, if he was that good, like Nashville should have beaten us. Straight up.
Man, oh man, he's gonna be a fan favorite in Vancouver. All the 420 friendly people in Vancouver will be saying "reefer Sherwood" every time he scores a goal. It'll be like the shotgun Jake thing all over again, baby. Quickly on the defense for tonight, you got Quinn Hughes, Noah Juleson, Carson Soucy, Vinny Desharnais, Akito Hirose, and Jet Wu. Christian Wolanin also listed as a potential player for tonight. So there's 7 defense, so I'm not quite sure how that's going to work. But that's kind of how I see the pairings. It'll be probably Hughes, Juleson, Soucy, Desharnais, and one of Hirose or Wolanin playing on the left side beside Jet Wu.
Can't wait. Gotta let you know this too. Apparently this game's not on TV, but Trevor said, I don't know. Can we confirm this? Can you watch it on Canucks.com? Is that like a thing for sure?
I haven't seen it officially reported, but I believe I heard that said on the radio, and that's the way it's been in the past. So I think there's a good goddamn chance you could watch it on Canucks.com.
There you go, man. There you go. I'm excited, man. Let's see what Lekkerimäki does. I wouldn't be surprised if you see another strong performance from Atu Ratu. All that being said, I heard Don Taylor and company talk about this yesterday. Like, and we'll end it on this note, okay? Do you need Elias Pettersson to rip up the preseason? Because I don't. I don't need that, bro. Because I feel like in these games, like these players don't even celebrate when they score goals. And sure, like it's good to like feel the net and like feel like you got it, and maybe the like scoring goals in the preseason, you know, it adds to your swagger. But I feel like it's more about timing for all these guys, and every shift you're not really like gearing to score a goal. It's more about like the little details. So I don't need Pettersson to pad the stats in the preseason. Is that something that you're looking forward to? Because Mr. 11.6 has the world watching.
Mr. 11.6. Yeah, you don't need him to rip it up. You'd like to see a moment or two, but you don't need him to rip it up. 2 more quick notes here. I'm going to say the defenseman. that haven't gone into either preseason game tonight or last name would be Kirill Kudryavtsev, who I think we're going to see at some point, Sawyer Minio, Christian Felton, and Guillaume Brisebois. So 8 players in total on the Canucks roster that won't be in either preseason game. Nerd. One last comment I want to shout out. Alec Taylor saying Ratty could make this team over Nils Amon. Look, Ratty's a better player than Nils Amon right now. I have zero doubt about that. But I think he's got to be better than like a Suter or a Bluger. I think that's the bar, right? Because you don't want Ratty on this team as your 13th forward. You want him playing on an every night basis. Develop the dude. And we'll keep developing here on Locked On Canucks. Shout out to the everydayers, occasional listeners, first-time listeners, new subscribers, and especially a shout out to Reggie on his 10th birthday, okay? We love each and every one of you, your family, and your dogs too. A couple more ideas for the week. Obviously, we'll get you covered on any news and notes, roster cuts, things that we noticed from tonight's game. Also want to talk about the power play and our crazy idea to fix it. And also the reason why the Canucks now have the best prospect pool in the NHL. What?
Whoa.
Well, we'll touch on that on the episode of Locked On Canucks. But for now, we got to get out of here. I'm Trevor Beggs. That guy's Kyle Bhawan. And you've been listening to Locked On Canucks.
Have a change, Baggsy. Peace out. One love to all of y'all. Peace.